Stephen Abernathy, Ph.D., studied medicine in one of the Ivy League schools in the U.S. He then moved to Bodison School of Medicine in Europe in 1979 to pursue a postgraduate degree. During his undergraduate program, he developed an interest in the biology of tissues in response to disease. In his postgraduate studies, he specialized in pharmacological research, earning a Ph.D. This was an area that excited him immensely, mainly because of its potential for breakthrough research opportunities. He believed that if one was lucky, the payoff from new drug discoveries could be enormous. When doing his undergraduate studies, Steve took an elective course in ethics. His interest was triggered by interesting debates that occurred in a philosophy class. During the first lecture in philosophy, the professor asked the students to give their views on how they would deal with the following hypothetical situation. Imagine you are a doctor working in a remote location where access to medical supplies such as oxygen is a significant challenge. Two people who have just crash-landed in a light aircraft near the hospital have just been brought into the emergency room. One of them is a famous 80-year-old wealthy businessman who is known for his considerable philanthropic initiatives. The second person is his 20-year-old son. Both patients require immediate ventilatory support, otherwise they could pass away in the next 30 minutes. Unfortunately, you have only one ventilator machine in the hospital, and getting another ventilator or transferring a patient to the nearest hospital where there is a ventilator will take a minimum of 4 hours. Which of the patients would you put on the ventilator machine? This question created an animated debate in the classroom. Some students argued that the businessman deserved priority because of his service to society. Others argued that the businessman was in his twilight years and that his son, who had a long life ahead of him, should be given priority. Some students argued that putting either of the patients on the ventilator would be tantamount to killing the other patient. It would be more morally justifiable not to put either patient on the ventilator. But others countered this argument by saying that such an action would be equivalent to killing two patients when the doctor had the option of saving at least one life, which was a better moral justification. The debate continued for 2 hours without any consensus on the best option. At the end of it, the professor said, "This hypothetical situation ought to give you a flavor of ethics, one of the fields of philosophy that we will cover in the next few weeks. I hope you will find the course useful and relevant to your future career as a business executive, an engineer, a doctor, or other professional you intend to become in the future." As the students got deeper into the topic of ethics, they encountered fascinating stories of ethical and unethical conduct. In some instances, it was not clear what was ethical or unethical. Some stories were horrifying in the extreme, but such stories were suitable primers for the study of medical ethics, professional conduct, and medico-legal issues that students of medicine would cover in their studies. Medical ethics was particularly crucial for students such as Steve, who were planning to pursue careers in medical research. During the subsequent medical ethics course, Steve learned about certain particularly disturbing historical events. The events had led to various declarations by members of the medical fraternity across the globe. Of particular note was the World Medical Association Declaration of Helsinki regarding ethical principles that should govern medical research involving human subjects. But despite the various codes and declarations by members of the medical profession, there were certain historical events that Steve found difficult to swallow. These matters continued haunting him as a researcher later in his life. For example, the atrocities committed by Surgeon General Shiro Ishii, the Japanese microbiologist, Army medical officer, and commander of Unit 731 of the Japanese military. Steve finished his postgraduate studies at Bodison School of Medicine in 1984 and earned a Ph.D. in pharmacology. When he returned to the U.S., he taught pharmacology in one of the medical schools in California. However, after 2 years, he decided to venture into the private sector to earn better remuneration. He joined Avoca Biotech Inc. in January 1989. That was the perfect opportunity he was looking for.